Hey, welcome to another tutorial. This one will be about how to add custom minions to the toolkit. So for this, I have added this skeletal mesh, which is from Epic, which you can find in the Paragon minions pack, which is on the marketplace, and I've linked to that in the description. So you can use this skeletal mesh and these animations, or you can use whatever else that you prefer. But if you want those, these are the animations that I have imported. So you can see the names here. If you migrate all of those over from a project that includes this skeletal mesh, then you will get all the stuff and all the materials and everything you need. So that's the starting point for this tutorial. But like I said, you can use any skeletal mesh that you prefer. So first I'm going to rename these so they follow the naming conventions of the rest of the kit here. So for this attack, I will call it A, and I'll have the name of this guy. I'll call him Dino, and attack. And I'll do similar for all of these animations. I'll fast forward so you won't have to see me rename all of this slowly. So yeah, like I said, you see I mostly kept similar names, though I changed this hit to flinch and the spit to cast. So this is similar to the animations I used for the other ones. Now, next we want to make animation montages for all of these. So we will create animation montages, as that is what is generally used. And also I'll rename all of these to follow the same naming convention. So I'll fast forward again. There, and we don't need a montage for the idle animation, so I'll delete that one. And now we have all the animations set up for creating our animation blueprint. So for creating the animation blueprint, we wanted to follow similar logic to what we have set up in the other animation blueprints. Now, unfortunately, Unreal Engine does not allow you to create, child animation blueprints with a different skeletal mesh from the parent. So we're going to have to create an entirely new animation blueprint, but then we will manually copy over a lot of the stuff that we need. So for that, we should have a look at one of the other animation blueprints. Let's look at the troll, for instance, and look at its animation blueprint here. And we will want to reproduce a lot of the stuff that's going on in this animation graph, which is not too complicated, and it uses mostly animation montages. So then first, I'll go back to this minion here we have in animations. I'll just keep this in the animations for this imported content, so we keep it all visible for the tutorial. But if you want to follow the same structure I've done for the other characters, you can take a look at the folder structure here. But for this tutorial, I'll keep it in the same folder. I'll choose animation, and I'll create an animation blueprint. And we need to then choose it's called buff black skeleton for whatever reason, and we'll use that for our animation blueprint. Right, so we'll call this ABP Dino, and there we are. And first we're going to need to create a state machine. I'll just call this, oops, where are we? There. We'll call this Dino idle, because I'll only use this for the idle animation, and any other animation I'm going to trigger through montages. So we'll place this in here, and we'll just then add a new state, which I'll call idle. And we'll go straight into this, and for this state, we are just playing the idle animation. So for just looping animation like this, like a state machine, might be unnecessary, but then you have a starting point if you want to do something animation graph dependent later. But we will do all of the remaining stuff in animation montages. So there we are. We will need to prepare the animation montages as well, and we can take a look at the animations of the troll here to get an idea of what we need to do. So if we go to its animations, and for instance we look at the attack montage, you can see that in this montage we have added a montage notify here. So this is a notify that tells this animation at which point does this attack connect. So this is the point at which we will want to display, our damage and trigger the flinching animation of the minion that we are attacking. So we want to add similar notifies to all our montages. What these are really used for are that they're used in the action system to say at which point do you want to go to the next action. And the action that will be queued after this attack animation is likely, or you will want to set it up so that will be the action that is responsible for displaying the damage being dealt. But look at the tutorial on the action system to understand that more clearly. But basically these notifies is like, okay, at which point do we want to continue to whatever next action we want to show. And that will generally be at the same point you want the animation to trigger some effect. So we'll add some montage notifies to all of these animations here. All of our animation montages, so we can start at the attack. So at which point do we want to display the damage? Probably when it jumps down there about. So we can add a notify, and we want that notify to be a montage notify. And the name doesn't really matter for what we're using it for now, but we might want to use it for something later, so let's specify that this is for a hit. And then we can do similar with all the other animation notifies we have here. We have the cast animations, at which point do we want that? Like here maybe is where the spit happens. Let's play this animation. Yeah, should be there about. So we'll just add some more montage notifies. I'll call this hit as well. And then for the death, let's remind myself where I'm setting that up for the troll. So death, yeah, actually, I have no montage notify for the death. We're just looping the death animation, which is set. So we've disabled auto blend out here. So we can do that for the death animation here as well. So we're not blending back to idle after death. We'll just keep it lying down like this. Then for flinch, so let's look at the troll and the flinch animation. So yeah, we play the montage pretty much immediately here. We continue to the next action very early in the flinch, because we don't want to really wait for a long delay to watch the enemy flinch before we continue with the next action. So we will add a notify also similarly very early here. A montage notify, and let's see what I called this. I call it hit here as well, so we can just keep that. We're not using this for anything specific at the moment, as mentioned. And then, so for spawn, so this is the animation when we're spawning. We also want this to happen fairly early, so we don't need to wait for this long animation to happen before the next monster is shown to spawn or whatever. So we do this fairly early, and we'll do the same with the dino, with the spawn animation. So we'll just have him run in quick, and at this point maybe we'll add a notify. And I'll just call this hit as well. And there we have all of our montages set up. So next we need a way to be able to trigger these in the animation blueprint. And we will look then, I'll just close these, at the animation blueprint for the troll and see what we have here. So you notice that we have an interface function. So you're going to need this particular interface that is used for the puppet actors to interact with the animation blueprints of the skeletal meshes that they have. So we can look at the name of it in the class settings here, which is BPI card puppet. And we will add the same thing here. This puppet interface. And at this point, we will be able to copy this into our graph without getting any errors, or we'll get one error, I believe. We'll see. Yeah, because we are missing a couple of values here. So this is what is called from the puppet. I can show how that looks, by the way, if we go to one of our puppets, which you will find in blueprints and puppets. And then we can look at, say, the base skeletal puppet here, which is the parent puppet for all of the skeletal meshes that are included by default. And you can see the notifies here for animating. So when an action is playing that is calling on this puppet to be animated, such as the BP action effects action, for instance, which you can see in the third card tutorial. And these are calling on a specified puppet to place on some animation based on a tag. So it's based on a tag, and then it calls on the animation blueprint, which is the anim instance of the skeletal mesh, to run this this interface event. And if we look at the dyno here, you can see that we are getting this event, which is called from the puppet, and we're using this to play a montage. And how we're specifying the montage that we want? Well, we are getting that from this map variable, which is made out of keys, which are gameplay tags, and values, which are the specified animation montages. So we need to create one of these, and you'll see better how it works when I start adding this. We'll also create this default montage, which will play in a case where where we're calling on this animation blueprint to play an animation which we have not specified, then we will play this default instead. So let us change the defaults of these variables. We can look at the troll animation blueprint again to see how this is set up. So if we look at the montage tags here, you can see that we have these key value pairs. So we have, if the anim attack gameplay tag is passed through this event, then we want to play the attack animation montage. If the flinch gameplay tag is passed, then we want to play the flinch montage, etc. So we'll want to set up a similar something similar to this for our dyno, and we can start doing that. So first, and then we'll find the anim tags. So for the attack, then we will find the dyno attack, and we'll just keep going like that. For block, we don't really have a block animation here, so we'll just use flinch. So block is what is triggered if the minion still has remaining armor after it has been attacked. So you can specify a specific animation there, and that I've done that for the warrior. Next, cast, we'll use that for when we want to cast more spell type attacks, and then we can choose the cast. So we have already named all of these appropriately, so they're easy enough to find. Then we have die, we will use death for that one, so I guess that's the one place I was not entirely consistent. And then flinch, and we'll find flinch, and finally we will have the spawn, and for that we'll choose the spawn animation montage. We'll also choose a default, and we can do like which one do we want to play as the default. We can choose the attack, why not? And now we have set up a way to play all of these animations. Since we copied this over from the troll, I have a higher play rate, so I'm speeding up the animation speed of the troll. You see I've noted a planned improvement here that I might, have some sort of variable that you can change the game speed, but at the moment I'm hard coding this. But we'll put this to 1 for the dyno, so we're playing this at our regular animation speed. That is really all you need for the animations for this guy. But now we want to create an actual minion. So for that we'll need to modify our data tables for minions. So we'll go to demo. Oh no, not demo, to data. Where is it? There. And we will find our minions monsters. You can, like I've done in the card tutorials, etc., create your own custom data table for your own minions if you want to, but you can also add new ones here. So we'll do that, and I will add a new minion, and we'll call this Dino, and we'll also have the name be Dino. And for starting statuses, we want this Dino to have health, certainly, and initiative. You'll find that here, that all of these minions will have these. If it doesn't have initiative, that means that this minion will never get its turn. And if it doesn't have health, well, then we can't kill it. So we want to have both of these. I'll just copy these over from the troll as its starting statuses. We can add other kinds of statuses as well. If we wanted to start with strength or wanted to start poisoned, etc., then you can specify the status and the value that the status is at. So look at my tutorial on statuses for more information on how statuses work. So for gameplay tags, we want to specify anything. Again, we can look at the troll here. So here we have specified that this is a minion and that it is an enemy. So these are tags that can be referenced if we have some ability or some card that can only target, minions of a specific type. So we can specify that this should also be, a minion and an enemy. And for the puppet, we can choose the default puppet here. The default skeletal puppet should be fine. And we can choose the skeletal mesh, which will be our the buff black skeletal mesh. And we don't need to override any of the materials. If you look at like the spiders that we have here, so the shadow spider, is that it? Then you can see that we've overridden with a different material to the default spider. If we keep this blank, we just use the default material. Same with the texture. Animation blueprint, we will need to specify the one we're using, so we'll choose Dino. And this UI scale will be the scale of the UI, like the health bar, etc., around the dino. So we'll adjust this after we see how it looks in game. So that's the UI scale. Transform offset, if we want to scale or rotate or anything, and how this minion is spawned. And then we'll also need an attack pattern, like something to tell what cards in what order this monster is going to use. So for now and for this video, we'll just use one of the default ones. I'll just take the one that's for the troll. And for attack pattern component, we'll choose the default attack pattern component. I'll make a separate video where I describe how the attack pattern works. And this should be enough, I hope, to be able to fight this monster. We'll go to the arena map to test this out. Arena. And we will go to our, the core, and find the game instance so that we can choose our current encounter and add this minion. So minions, monsters, and we'll find our dino. So we are fighting that when we start, and let's see if it works. And something seemed off there. Let's see if we attack him. Yeah, there's no flinch animation, and he armors and he attacks without any animation. Okay, so the montages aren't being triggered, and yeah, I think I have a suspicion what might be happening. If we look at the anim graph here, we are missing this routing it through the default slot. So we'll have to add this to the animation graph to allow us to play montages. And also let's go to core, and we'll add another monster just so when we kill this guy we don't immediately go to the reward screen. So we'll add a troll as well, and let's decrease the health of the dino so we more easily can kill him and see the death animation. And now let's hit play, and he's running in and the troll is jumping down, so that looks better. And yeah, we have the flinch animation. He should be using the cast animation, I guess, when he's using the armor here. Yeah, and now we should get the attack animation twice there, since it was a double attack, and we should get a death animation, and that is working too. But it's just, he's just clipping out. He's not fading out, as you will see with the troll here, which has this fade effect when he is dying and also when he is spawning. So next I'll show how to add that. Let me show what I'm talking about. Also go to the minions here and the troll, and I'll increase his health, decrease his health to 1, and I can show it. So when he spawns, you can see that he fades in, or it's so quick that you can't see it, but when we kill him, he is fading away. So we want to add the same effect to this dino here. And we can do that by copying the stuff we're doing with the material of the troll So if we go to our demo content and find the troll and the materials, we can find the troll material, and we see here that we have this thing that controls the opacity of this material through a dither. So we can find the materials here, and yeah, apologies for the poor organization of these wires. This is Epic's doing and not mine. So we will want to have this in the material attributes. But yeah, we're using material attributes here, so I'm gonna have to set it up slightly differently. We want this to be a masked material, and we want to add this part here to the opacity mask of the material. We want to do the same thing with the other material. It just takes a bit to save there. And we'll do the same with this eye, I guess, or is this a material instance? Yeah, it is, so we'll keep that as it is. And now when we've added this, let's see, yeah, you can see that he fades in, and when we kill him, he will be fading out as he dies. So then we've set that stuff up. How that stuff is animated and handled, by the way, you can find in BP Skeletal Puppet under this disappear puppet, where we are applying, we're increasing the opacity of this material through a timeline. So you can look at that if you want to see how that is set up. Of course, that might not be how you want it to work in your game at all, but I just think I thought I should show how, if you wanted to set up identical to the default included puppets. So by now we have our fully functional, entirely new type of minion. It doesn't have, other than changing its health, it works exactly like a troll at the moment. So in the next video we're going to look at how we can change its attacks, attack pattern, and other things to make this a unique minion gameplay-wise in your game. So with that, I'll see you in the next one.